All right, welcome back to the next part of this. So right now we have it running and we're clicking and we can put a circle down in that particular location. But now we want it to take turns, place, place pieces, and we're also going to get to flip pieces as well. So in this particular example, I would like you guys to flip the piece, and we're going to be using red and green. And whenever I put a red piece down, it's going to flip. Now, we're still not going to be checking for valid pieces, but it doesn't really matter right now. Our goal is to get everything working on this particular game. So let's go ahead and we're going to really kind of piece that together. So what we're going to need to do here is we are going to distinguish between what a red piece is and what a red piece is and what is a green piece. And the way I'm going to identify that is a red piece is a 1, a value of 1 in the board, and a green piece is going to be a 2. So the way we can do that is coming up here. Actually, before we come up, we want to keep track of whose turn it is. So we're going to do private int turn, and we're going to make sure that this is equal to turn equals 0 at the beginning. Now, why did I do 0? Well, what's going to happen here is we are going to do turn mod 2 plus 1. So what's going to happen here is when turn is even, it's going to set it to 1. When it's odd, it's going to set it to 2. And we're just going to keep going back and forth. We're using that remainder to our advantage. This way, we just have to do turn plus plus and just add 1 to turn, so we'll flip it from odd to even, odd to even, odd to even, back and forth. Now, looking back at this, so we just have our turn, we set our piece there, that's great. Now we have to come back right here at our display and we have to display different colors. So what we're going to do is, instead of having this board, if it's not equal to 0, we're going to say, well, it's equal to 1. So we're going to do g.setColor, color.red, because that's what we came up with. Else if board I, board J is equal to 2, if it's equal to 2 this time, we're going to do the exact same piece of code, but what we want to do with this is we want to make it green. And it doesn't matter if you use all lower or all upper, you just can't make a combination of. So we're going to run that in there. And now what we should have is a red, and this should be green, red, and green, red, and green. And great, I can add these in pretty easily. That's great. But if I click on top of one of these, it will instantly change it to whatever the previous one was. So we can overwrite data, so we have to protect it. And we also want to make sure that we flip it as well. And what I mean by flipping it is that whenever I push something down, it actually turns everything that's around it to the same color. So that's what we're going to do. Now the first thing I said is we want to make sure that there's not already a piece there. So right here, this gets me the value of where I want to click. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save that as X and Y. So get X divided by 50, and int Y is equal to e.get Y divided by 50 as well. Now here, this allows us to check it a little bit better. So if X is greater than or equal to 0, and X is less than 10, and Y is greater than or equal to 0, and Y is less than 10. Now this will get rid of the error for clicking outside of things, right? Now the next thing I'm going to do is check to see if there is a blank spot where I want to go. So if board x y is equal to 0, then I can then it's valid. Otherwise, it's not valid, and I don't want to even turn the turn either. This way, they have a chance to work on something else. So first, I'm going to click over here. No errors. I'm clicking. I can come over here, generate that. I can click here, and I'm clicking as many times as I want. It won't let me, but it still generates a red. Click here again. Click there. It's a green. So I can no longer place things where old things are at. So now that I have that working, when I turn something, I want to turn everything to the left or the right of it. Okay, great. Now, there are 8 different possible ways. That is a lot of if statements to check to make sure I don't go out of bounds, to see if it's not equal to 0. And I could write all those. That could take a while and work. So what I want to do is I want to place my piece there, and then I take the turn over, and then I flip everything else. Now, by flipping everything else, I'm going to use a for loop in here. Well, int I is equal to 0. I say it's not equal to 0. It's equal to wherever x is, minus 1. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to loop 9 different places here. And the way we can do this is we do I is less than x plus 1. So it's going to get x plus x minus 1, x, and x plus 1 in here. So it'll run 3 times. And then we're going to do the same thing here for j, but j is going to keep track of y. Same deal here. We don't care what order or way we go as long as it all flips correctly. And when I did this, I meant to make this I. Okay, great. So if board ij is not equal to 0, meaning there is a piece there, we are also going to turn that piece. I'm going to come back over here. We're also going to turn that piece, I and j, to the same color. And what I want to do here is I also want to use x and y to simplify this because I did just protect it, so I don't want this to get all screwed up. Great. And I forgot the bracket there. So let's run this, see what happens. And when I'm running this, we have that. I'm getting an error. Uh-oh. That's never good. So let's see what's going on. Array out of bounds. So I got an out of bounds error there. Now, I know why, but let's look at something else too. If I click here, that looks good. Click there. The red turns, green turned, but it didn't turn these. All right. So that's a very interesting piece. It's going that way. Let's go that way. All right, so it is going up, but it's not going down or this way. So we'll take a look at what's going on there. So the first way I'm looking at this is it needs to be inclusive. So we're going to add those in there. And let's see if these center pieces work now. Perfect. And so we're seeing this play the game, even though it's not quite playing right. Now, if I try to put any pieces on the corner, it's going to go out of bounds. So I do have to protect against that. So before we do any of this check here, we're going to do check if I is less than 0 or j is greater than, or I is greater than or equal to 10, or j is less than 0, or j is greater than or equal to 10, what we're going to do is we're going to do continue. Now what continue will do is it will go to the next piece of the for loop. So it will not execute these. So let's take a look at that and how that particular piece works. And see, we have this, that was working fine, right? Click here, and now I can click on the edge. And I want to click on all the sides so I know what's going on here. Okay, working pretty good that way. Great. I'm kind of making sure all this looks fantastic. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm also going to build this. I'm going to put that here and put that there. Green, red, green, red. All right, so I want all these here to turn into green when I push here, and they do. That's great. Now this particular piece of the puzzle is done. Technically, we could play the game now, but people could cheat. So that's the easiest way that we're going to look at it. So anyway, good luck on this. I hope you guys do well. I know it's starting to get tricky. So, all right, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.